I'm so excited to be talking today to the 35th Duncanson Artist in Residence at the Taft Museum of Art, Ajanae Dawkins. Thank you so much for being here today for Cincinnati People.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Let's dive right into this. The Duncanson Artist in Residence program has been around since 1986. It has a long history. What's it been like for you to be a part of this?
It has been awesome. I didn't know anything about Robert S. Duncanson before I applied, so I had to do a lot of research to figure out the legacy that I was coming into with him, and that research was awesome. So I feel like a kinship and legacy with Robert S. Duncanson, but also with the artists that came before me. So I'm not a visual artist, I'm a poet, but the first Duncanson artist in residence was also a poet. That was Nikki Giovanni. And I just feel kind of a kinship to everybody who has been in this space before me. So it's been awesome.
For those folks who don't know the history of Robert Duncanson here, give us a little bit of a background.
Yeah, so Robert S. Duncanson was pretty much the first African American visual painter who gained like a lot of acclamation and fame. He was a landscape painter, so he painted the American landscape. Some of his work had some racial undertones, as he was an abolitionist. And Nicholas Longsworth, who the Taft Museum is his historic house, commissioned him for a series of murals. And they're huge, they're massive, and they're literally on the walls at the Taft Museum in the historic house for when that opens back up. And the funding from that allowed him to travel, allowed him to do a lot of things in that relationship. The honoring that relationship is what created the Duncanson Artist in Residence program.
And as you mentioned, the whole goal is to kind of amplify Black artists. And since 1986, this has been around. You also mentioned you're a poet. We think of the Taft Museum, we think of those beautiful paintings, but this is a different form of art. So what's this been like for you to step into a world where visual art is typically what we think of?
It has been awesome. I feel like my audiences have been so excited and so receptive. I don't even know if I've thought about this tension between being in these visual spaces. If anything, I've just been in a really beautiful space reading my poems as opposed to like empty spaces. But yeah, it's been cool.
So what is day-to-day like for you as an artist in residence? What does that mean?
It is literally different every day. So it could be me waking up and preparing all day for a show, running rehearsal things, going out to explore Cincinnati a little bit for all of the really good food you all have. Um, as I move back and forth between rehearsals and prepare for performances I have in the evening. This week, it's been a lot of going into the schools. I've been working with a lot of students and teaching poetry workshops, and that has been amazing. I've been having a lot of meetings to prepare for the final event, which is this Saturday, which I'm bringing in some artists from Columbus and Detroit to really give a more full experience as my final closer.
Let's talk about that. This artist in residence for you ends this weekend with some really interesting workshops that you're doing, all kind of surrounding the one in particular around the written words. So tell us what folks can do this weekend.
Oh yeah, so the last weekend of the Artist in Residence. So on the 23rd, we will be having a poetry showcase. It'll be at Artsville. You can come out for that. Registration is free. There will be a cash bar, and it's really just a night for folks to come out and enjoy the arts. There will be music. There will be poetry. You can dress up if you want to, dress down. It's completely up to you. And yeah, it's a space to really just enjoy a more curated poetry showcase.
If you had to describe your poetry, how would you tell people? What's the inspiration? How does it work?
So most of my poetry is either inspired by current events or by family history. So I write into a lot of what is going on politically, things that I might experience. I write about being a Black woman a lot and being at the intersection of that as I navigate different spaces. And as I navigate more familial history, I'm writing a lot more about my relationship with my mother and the things that I'm discovering as I dive into family archives, things that have typically been very difficult for Black Americans to access because we just don't have the consistency of records in this country.
You also mentioned exploring Cincinnati. You are from Detroit and DC. And so tell us what you've done, what you've enjoyed, and what is it you're going to take back to wherever you go next when you tell people about Cincinnati.
Yes, Metro Detroit and New York.
Oh, Metro Detroit and New York. I
Yes,
apologize.
no, it's totally fine. I was like, I don't want anybody from DC to be like, we've never heard of her. Yes, so I am obsessed with the landscape here, which I think is interesting thinking about Robert S. Duncanson as a landscape painter.
Mhm.
Your arts community is absolutely beautiful. We've been to some open mics. We've just been to some art shows. I'm literally getting off of here to go to a museum, to the Freedom Center. So that's my next stop. You just have a really rich culture. And the food, again, I cannot say enough about it, is delicious.
So
So I
as you close out your artist in residency here this weekend, what will you take from your experience here, arts wise, and how will that kind of navigate and inform what you do next in the poetry world?
Um, I think I'll just take maybe this space of creative freedom. I think one of the gifts of being here has been thinking about lineage and thinking about what, when given the resources, like what I would create in the city and how I serve the cities around me and how I serve the
Mhm.
people around me. So I think I'm thinking a lot about what it means for me to connect to the work that people have done coming before me, and what does it mean for them to carry me into the spaces I'm entering as I'm doing my own work, to not think of myself as an individual, but as always a part of something larger.
So interesting. And so we welcome you here and we hate to see you go, but thank you for spending your time here and with us today during this interview. We appreciate it. Ajanae Dawkins, thank you so much.
Thank you.